And now part 5 of the Dear David haunting. According to Adam, other strange dreams continued of dark figures staring through his windows and other weird stuff. As a way to shake that terrifying dream, he walks to a bodega nearby for a snack. As the warehouse that was boarded up is on the way to everywhere, he once again passes by it, but this time he hurries by it. He grabs his snacks and heads back. But as he passes by the doors of the abandoned warehouse, he hears a dull thunk on the other side of the shutters. He freezes in fear, but curiosity ends up getting the best of him, and he then finds a grated window next to the door that's about a foot above his head, and he talks himself into reaching up and taking a photo with flash and then running for his life. So that's exactly what he does, not even being able to look at the photo until after he gets home. He tries to calm down, he eats his Doritos nervously, then looks at what he captured. He mentions it looks like a different part of the warehouse, maybe an office, but then he looks at the photo again and notices something in the right-hand corner. Not sure if it's eyes messing with him, he adds filters to it and he becomes convinced. It looks too much like Dear David. A few days pass quietly, and he posts about leaving for Tokyo in a few hours, adding that he hopes a couple weeks away will fix things. He then posts on his final day in Tokyo that it has been peaceful and that the cats were well taken care of. To have one less exploration, he heads to a park and finds this statue that catches his eye. As he walks around it to snap more photos, he almost drops his camera when he sees this and starts to feel dizzy. A kid with a dented head. To Adam, it feels too similar to be coincidence. He tries not to overreact and gets ready for his flight home. He posts about his arrival home with a photo of him with the cats, with a caption stating they are fine, just quote, more talkative. 9 days pass and a new thread starts about electrical issues. First, 2 bulbs burn out in the hallway in a week, but shrugging that off as not too out of the ordinary, he later finds his TV's backlight glitching out one night without the TV being on, noting that it's only a couple months old and that the TV is to be on for the light to work. Weirded out, he goes and grabs a bite at the only diner open at 4 a.m., then comes back home as the sun is rising to get ready for work. As he passes his front door, he thinks he hears a faint scratching sound from the other side. Unsure if he really heard it, but also too scared to put his face that close to the sound, he takes his phone and again takes a photo through the peephole. Thankfully, there's a skylight in the hallway, giving enough light for the photo. At first, they look like blurry nothingness, but as he analyzes this particular photo, he starts noticing things. Part of a face, an ear, and an eye, staring right back at him. Welcome back for part 6 of the haunting that went viral back in 2017, Dear David. After crucially analyzing this photo that he took through the peephole, it's now obvious to him that he needs to get someone else involved, because it's just not going to stop. 12 days pass and he tweets that a friend had come by to cleanse the entire apartment, as well as the hallway. Afterwards, everything seemed to go back to normal. No more cats at the door or bad dreams. It was all starting to seem like it was over to Adam. And then, during the morning a week prior to the tweet, he was walking to work and had to pass the shuttered warehouse as usual, but this time, the metal doors were wide open, sunlight pouring in, and the warehouse empty and the chair gone, but there was one thing inside, a hearse. The warehouse had been closed for months at that point, and there seemed to be no reason it was open that day. No one was around. Always looking for that logical explanation, he thinks hearses have to park somewhere, right? He then tries to quit thinking about it and notes the next several days were uneventful. But on the evening of October 25th, around 11 p.m., Adam's watching TV on the couch and decides to get a beer from the fridge, and he notices both of his cats sitting at the far window, staring up at it. The window itself looked out onto the roof of the business next door. Adam looks out of the window and doesn't see anything. Maybe there's a mouse in the wall or something, he guesses. Then he heads to the fridge to get his beer. As he heads to get his bottle opener in the kitchen, he notices something. There's a window in the kitchen that also looks onto the same roof, and someone was on the roof, staring up at him. Adam immediately ducks down and turns off the lights. He peers over the window, but can't see much. His phone was in his pocket, so he grabs it and takes a photo. It's blurry and dark, but he promises someone was out there. He then tries to take a better photo and realizes the figure had disappeared. He closes all the blinds and makes sure the doors are locked, and then drinks 5 more beers until he was too drunk to be scared. Now, when we look back at the first photo, where Adam was sure someone was on the roof, there is what looks like a dark spot towards the bottom left of the photo. Luckily, being the internet, many of the followers brightened up the photo, and every single one had the same evidence pop up. The dark spot was unmistakably a figure. Feeling back at square one and unsure of what to do next, Adam admits to himself that he is sure it was David on the roof, and that David is not going away. Welcome back for part 7 of the Dear David haunting, which events were coincidentally happening 4 years from the date of this TikTok video. About a week and a half later, Adam starts a new thread. It's been 4 months since he had the first dream of Dear David, and the night before, he had a dream almost exactly like the first time he saw him. In the dream, he saw David in a chair again, but since Adam had moved the green chair out of his room, David was now in his recliner, in which Adam has had for years. David was staring right at him, just like the first time, and again, Adam felt paralyzed in his bed and could barely move. But this time, something was different. Still feeling immobile, he notices he's way more alert and could move his hands somewhat. David glaring right at him, Adam dreads what he knows is coming next. David was going to get out of the chair and come toward him, just like before. Panicked, Adam reaches for his phone he keeps right next to him on the bed, and somehow gets a hold of it. He begins thinking, if David is going to kill me, maybe I can at least get evidence of it on my phone. And he starts snapping photos in the dark. Just like Adam thought, David starts to crawl down the chair and shuffle towards him, although moving very slowly, like it was a struggle. Terrified, Adam continues taking photos. As David limps closer, he never takes his eyes off of Adam. Soon enough, they were face to face. David starts muttering something too quiet for Adam to understand. Adam watches as David's eyes roll back into his head until his eyes are completely white. Adam tries to writhe away from him, but could still barely move. He stares in horror as David begins climbing up onto his bed, still murmuring something. And that's when Adam wakes up. Same as before. Broad daylight, no trace of David anywhere. The entire dream has happened enough that it also has become routine at this point to Adam. But he notes it was just a dream, so he eventually gets ready for the day, and the stress of the dream melts away. He wasn't even going to tweet about the dream because it wasn't new information, but that night he noticed something that petrified him. He goes into his phone to try and find a photo from a few days prior, and finds dozens of pitch black photos on his camera roll, all from the night before. Rather than try to explain them, he tweets a series of photos from the camera roll and says to turn up the brightness because of how dark they are. This, he says, is the one that made his heart drop. And again, thanks to other followers of the story, we found this photo that clarifies the first image quite a bit, and this one of all 3 together. Adam can't come up with an excuse or logical explanation for this one. He's officially beyond freaked out and certain he won't be getting any sleep.